Hello everyone and welcome to Lancelot's Nerd Corner. I'm Lancelot and today I'm proud to bring you another episode of Off the Cuff, a series where I discuss impromptu figures in my collection that I want to show more love to in the form of a video, but not necessarily a whole review, or if I have reviewed it already, to follow up and see if my thoughts have changed in any way. And that's what we're going to be doing today with the Batman by Hot Toys. Now, I did review this figure back in January of this year, so 4 months ago or right about, and honestly my thoughts haven't necessarily changed, but I've just kept falling in love more and more with this figure as time has gone on. And I guess I just wanted to gush about how awesome this figure really is and to emphasize certain good points that I mentioned in my review and just how good they are after now 4 months of having the figure. But first, I do want to start with some minor mistakes that I want to correct, as well as some things that I missed. First thing is that I actually mistook the UV light accessory for a flare accessory. It's the black cylinder with the white thing popping out. I thought that was the flare that Batman used at the end of the film, where he's like leading the people from the flooded stadium. It's actually the UV light, and I discovered this because I was actually looking at the in-art pictures and like the accessory list, and it said there UV light, and it was the exact same accessory as the Hot Toys one. And I was like, UV? What UV light? There was no UV light. I have since then watched the film again, and there was a UV light. It was in the scene where Jim Gordon and Batman are going through the mayor's car, and that's when Batman pulls it out looking for fingerprints, I think. So that's my mistake. It's actually a UV light, not a flare. Another thing is that the cape is actually slightly inaccurately seated under the chest. In the film, it inserts a bit more tightly bundled up, like around here, like right on the collarbone. It's a bit more tightly bundled in the film, whereas here in the on the figure, it's a bit wider. It's a pretty small thing, and for me, it's not a big issue, but I do think it's worth mentioning in case you are a stickler for that kind of stuff. And lastly, with the Bruce Wayne head sculpt, I commented how the sculpt work of the beard, like right here on his jaw, looked a bit more like scarring than actual like beard stubble. And someone in the comments actually said that Robert Pattinson does actually have acne scarring like on his face. And so I looked at some pictures and I think they're right. There definitely does seem to be like some sort of scarring on his cheek or on his lower jaw. And if that is the case, if it actually is, then that's not a bad thing anymore that Hot Toys did that, sculpted it like that. It's actually a good thing now, because it again shows their attention to detail and how realistically they can capture an actor's likeness, even that sort of stuff. So if that's true, that's incredible work from Hot Toys. And speaking of incredible work from Hot Toys, I really do appreciate the material choice that they went with for the suit. Not just like the gray padding stuff, but like the whole suit, but in particular the gray padding, because I've left it in this pose for basically the past 3-4 months, with his left leg raised up on the platform. And as you can see, it creates a crease, a pretty big crease, right up at the top of the thigh. And one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to see if there would be any crease marks or even damage after all this time of leaving it in this pose. Thankfully, when I took the figure and unbent the leg, literally no sign of any creasing at all. Like not even a little wrinkle. It was just right back to what the fabric looked like if the leg was straight. Now, again, this has just been 4 months. I guess in the grand scheme of things, and normally how expensive figures like this are meant to last, or how long we want them to last, 4 months is a pretty short period of time. But the fact that there's literally zero crease marks, no indication at all, and I think it's a very good indication of the longevity of this particular suit. There is one little issue, but pretty scary, that I encountered with the figure, particularly the head sculpt, which is when I was moving around one of the separate eyes, the left eye popped out. It like popped out the socket and fell to the floor, and I was like, ugh, and I thought I was done. I thought like, well, there goes that head sculpt. I can never use it. It was the cowled head sculpt. I was like, great, I can never use it. But thankfully, just picked up the eye, put it right in the socket, give it a little push inside, and it popped right back in. So crisis averted. But just in case that happens to you, just know that you can pop it right back in. And I'm definitely going to be a lot less forceful and more careful when I'm moving around the eyes. And going back to the previous point of their choice of great materials, it allows this figure to be one of the best articulated Batman figures Hot Toys has ever made. When it comes to articulation, specifically with Hot Toys Batman figures, it's generally pretty hit or miss. The early ones are like really, really bad. The Arkham City Batman, the Arkham Knight Batman are basically statues. Batman Beyond is actually pretty great. The DX-19 is decent. The Batman XC suit is incredible, and so is this one. And these are two of the most recent Hot Toys Batman figures that they've done, so it hopefully suggests that they've found a way to take these really complex bat suits and still incorporate great articulation. It gives me hope for the 89 Batman that's hopefully soon to come. But yeah, the materials, as mentioned earlier, are really durable, and it gives you the confidence to really push the joints in ways that you probably wouldn't with, like, again, the Arkham Knight Batman. And it's especially great for posers who like putting their figures in dynamic poses, like fighting action poses. You really can't do that with this figure. However, one thing that I was critical of in my review, in terms of like material choice and stuff of that vein, was the cape, the stock cape, the one that comes on the figure. And it really is a common theme with Hot Toys Batman figures that the cape is oftentimes the only or the weakest point of the figure. And to me, that was true for this figure, but thankfully Hot Toys included this alternate cape. And in my review, after having, spent about a week with it, I did say I prefer this cape. After 4 months with it, I definitely prefer this cape. I like that it's heavier. I like that it's better for posing because there's more wires and they're stronger. And it is a bit shorter, but that doesn't bother me at all. If anything, I actually kind of prefer that it's shorter. So yeah, overall, I really do prefer this cape, and it's definitely the one that I'm going to be using with it for pretty much for however long I have this figure. Hopefully it will be forever. I want this figure buried with me in my grave. And one last thing I want to talk about is not necessarily directly about this figure, but it's more about like Hot Toys as a brand and their sometimes weird choices, because for all intents and purposes, this figure could have absolutely been a DX figure. They pulled out all the stops, they used incredible materials, they provided so many accessories, so many alternate stuff for the head, for the cow, for the cape, and it's a very popular character and a popular version of the character. Oh, and I can't forget this incredible diorama display base. So it really could have been a DX figure, and I don't really know why it wasn't. And the fact that this is kind of just a regular release does diminish the prestige of the DX brand, of the DX sub-brand, I guess you would say, which has been a trend for a couple of years now with Hot Toys. It might even be why they have now the DX Artisan line with the rooted hair. Maybe that was spurred on by an art, I don't know. But yeah, it's not really a bad thing necessarily for this figure. It doesn't take away from the figure, and it's not even really directly related. It's just like another one of those odd decisions that Hot Toys makes. And that's pretty much it. This was an incredible figure when I reviewed it, and 4 months later today, it's still an incredible figure, and I'm certain 5-10 years down the line, it's still gonna be an incredible figure. If you have this figure, please let me know your thoughts on it and your own personal experience with it. Have you had any problems or issues that arose since release. Would love to know all those thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at Lancelot's Nerd Corner. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.